And welcome to week number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. I'm SSR Mayhem, and tonight we bring you live action here at Catalunya as we prepare for 37 laps, technically 36 laps of action here at this great track. And I'm SSR Mayhem, and I'll be bringing you the live action here today, which was a great week 1. Jim Hydra able to pick up the race win, and we're looking to see what he will do today as they go back at it again with THR Lightning on the poles position. We are getting ready to go 23 drivers today as we had a 46 car qualifying field. So we'll get to see how things pan out as we got 23, one extra this week in the race. So the drivers are loading up, thanks to Breeze after Bobberts apparently lagged out before the start of this race today. So here we go. We got the field starting up with THR Lightning on the pole position alongside him with Jim Hydra, last week's winner. And looks like I wasn't able to load all the cars in. So that's always exciting. So here we go. We got a bunch of drivers out there ready to rock. And just so everybody knows, Hydra's car just didn't load in. Has nothing to do with he didn't have his paint on. Gotta love Forza and its logic of things. So, here we go. The drivers are set, the qualifying is over with, practice is done, and we are about to go green flag racing in week number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge as THR Lightning will lead the field to lap number 1 and green flag. Hydra loses control of his car going into 1. That gives Lightning a big boost to the front. And that moves Yami up a spot. FRF Toys to the inside of Jim Super side by side going into the turn. Scotts and Breeze also looking like they're side by side teammates going at it. LMP Amoeba dropping back to the 23rd spot. That means TGM Remix has moved up quite a bit of positions. The back of the field is having some early problems. Yami trying to hold on to that second spot as he got Jim Hydra and Toys right behind him. And a hungry field of drivers as Yami drops down to the inside and lets on Hydra on by. And Toys gets to the rear bumper of Yami. Scottsy gets to the inside of Toys, side by side coming out of the exit. So lap number 1 is in the books and the race is on. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is week number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. We got off to a little late start. The B Lobby had some issues with the restart, but we were able to get them underway. And obviously A Lobby has started off clean and no more restarts from here on out. Toys has dropped back already 2 positions since the start of this race. Last week's top qualifier after lagging out early in the race, looking to redeem himself. Currently 20th in the point standings right now. Riding side by side. ESV Carts to the inside of Toys. And Carts, he's not done just yet. He goes to the inside of Scottson side by side going into the turn. Scottson with a better exit out of the corner. But Toys back to the inside of Carts. They're side by side. Yami with a little bit of a handbrake in front of them, running that 3rd spot now. And ESV Breeze right there with the Marzi and Ballistic, and ESV Delete. They're right there as well. We'll hop on with Ballistic. LMP, it looks like LMP Yem and Spectre battling back there further back. Ballistic looks to the inside of Breeze, side by side, going into the corner. LMP Yem stuck like glue to Spectre into that corner. Toys is still doing some work as he's battling on the outside of Breeze now into the inside, going into the final chicane. He gets in line in front of Breeze now. So Toys drops back a few positions at the start of this one, but is battling back very strong after lap number 2 and 3. And there goes Ballistic. He goes to the inside of Breeze, or is trying to. Ballistic still working on Breeze side by side, entering turn 3 and 4 now. He's still on the outside, got a nice run. Looking to make the power move to the outside, and he gets the job done right in front of Breeze and moves up to that 7th place spot. After last week's disappointing finish, he ended up entering the pits late, trying to finish across the line after running out of fuel, just like several other drivers did last week. And there's Breeze back to the inside of Ballistic, side by side. Breeze not able to get the job done, clips the rear quarter panel of Ballistic. That brings ESV the lead up to the rear bumper of Breeze. Meanwhile, Spectre has gotten by Yem for the 10th spot. So right now, some mid-pack action really firing up here. Meanwhile, if we pull up the race map, all 23 drivers still in this one, hanging in there strong. But as you can see, the field has spread pretty wide now, and there are clumps of patches. You know, we go further back to the 13th, 14th spot. Pariah from Inertia Garage, he's currently running, you know, right there in that 14th spot. Right now, battling with SSR Shane. So the Inertia driver and the Slapshift Racing driver duking it out. Pariah, who was in the B Lobby last week, did a fantastic job. And making his debut in the A Lobby, is doing a fine job. Woo! Bobber's cutting the corner a little bit there. Same with Shane. Trying to stick with one another. Bobber, too, had a very disappointing run last week, finishing the 18th spot. Currently running 12th, obviously started 9th. So not where he wants to be as a driver. But in a stout field like this, you got to be on top of your game every day of the week. Meanwhile, further back in the 16th spot, that's ESV Mute, making his debut in the MEA Prototype Challenge. He's got RD Jansen right behind him, and it looks like that's another car, ladies and gentlemen, that we could not get to work for us. As we hop back on with RZM Ballistic, Ballistic was able to clear Breeze A-OK. Spectre has moved up to the 9th spot, however. AMS Huracan has dropped back to the 23rd position. Not sure what happened to him. Must have made a mistake or got into a little bit of a ruffle-tuffle. But he's currently the last car on the lead lap. Let's go up a little further. It's Travis Scottson here running in that 4th spot right now. He's falling behind SSR Yami, who had a rough week last week, finishing about 11th or 12th at Magello. and having a great start in this race for SSR Yami. Obviously, a driver that is used to the prototypes just like many others here, such as Scottson and like others like Shane, who talk about it so much, I should say. And obviously doing a fantastic job to start this race as Scottson and him go to work. And they used to be former teammates back at Alien Motorsports, so a couple guys that know how each other races, know each other pretty well, and obviously something to keep an eye on is ESV Karts has sort of dropped off into the distance. And Yami able to get a good run off that corner. So we'll come back to these guys in a little bit. You see right here in the front, there's Jim Supra and THR Lightning. If you're just tuning in, Supra made a mistake earlier in this race, getting loose coming off of 4, and unfortunately was not able to regroup in time where Lightning was able to get a little bit of a gap on him. So right now he's chasing down Lightning. Meanwhile, we go further in the back of the field with NSR Swift, another driver's that car that didn't load in. And again, everybody, if you're wondering why the paints aren't showing up, the game just didn't load them in, so I do apologize for a few of these drivers' paints and liveries that we were unable to see, unfortunately, but we will obviously not dock them points for something we have no control over, so we'll keep our eyes on them. And Mex the Terrap, this is his first week in the MEA Prototype Challenge, just signed up midweek, was able to qualify into the A lobby, a driver we should say a regular here at MEA. It's kind of like the Outlaws against the regulars. Who's going to prevail? In week number 1, regular Jim Supra got the job done, currently running in the 2nd spot. And when we speak of Outlaws, we speak of first-time drivers such as THR Lightning, who's making his first, or made his first appearance last week. He's in front of him, running in that 1st spot right now, and he's been doing a pretty good job. Had no problems since the start of this race, obviously, with this mistake by Supra. Supra had to get around Yami there, who was running in the 2nd spot because of the issue. Lightning obviously trying to redeem himself after last week's unfortunate mishap, almost losing a position after running out of fuel on the final lap on the final turn at Magello. So as these guys duke it out, 3rd place is still in battle right now with Scottson and Yami. Karts and Toys has slowly drifted off from them. Some of the drivers talking before the week were having some big issues with the racetrack, saying they were struggling on pretty much the final chicane and a couple other sections of the track where they weren't really able to hold on to the car a whole lot. And right now, a couple of those drivers that seem to have no problems are the guys up front. And Yami still doing a fantastic job of fending off Scottson, but Scottson looked to the inside, thought he could have a run, not able to do it. And they go into turn 1. 3rd and 4th, still duking it out. We still have a mandatory pit stop to look, but Scottson looking to the inside. He's got the run side by side. Scottson looking to put the move on Yami. They're still side by side into the corner right now. Not able to get the job done by Scottson, but came up very close right there. Defending champion, elusive motorsports driver Scottson, looking to defend his title this year. Finishing 3rd last week, obviously battling for 3rd right now. Trying to clear Yami, but not able to do it. Yami doing a fantastic job fending him off, and obviously Scottson knows if he can get around him, he has a shot at the guys up front, but he needs to do it as early as he can. And obviously he's trying to do everything he can without making mistakes, and the ESV Karts and FRF Toys, after that micro battle between Yami and Scottson right there for the last couple laps, have creeped back up in the picture. And if we hop on with Karts, we can get an onboard camera view with him on how it looks from behind, as Toys is right there. And RZM Ballistic has moved up to the 7th spot. He got past ESV Breeze, so Ballistic is making some big moves early. He's moved up at least 4 spots since the start of this race. Meanwhile, the driver that has lost the most, AMS Huracan, has dropped back to 23rd, so he's the final car in the field right now on the lead lap still. If you pull up the race map, you can see how spread out everybody is. You see where the leaders are and everybody, so it has been an interesting race so far. Not a whole lot of drama just yet, but FRF Toys, he's starting to catch back up after losing about 2-3 spots on the first few laps of this race. Scottson looks to the inside of Yami again. Not able to get the job done, and he's still working on him patiently as Scottson can be, and Yami's doing a fantastic job bending him off right now. So from what I'm seeing in the chat, you guys are saying that Huracan got punted off of a turn and had a pit. So unfortunate for AMS Huracan, he's going to do a recovery race basically at this point, and probably going to have to make another pit stop. So we're going to see what Huracan can do on a recovery standpoint as this race progresses. So as we watch that whole lap with them, let's go further back in the field and see how other drivers are doing. Let's go with ESV Delete, as he's lost a few positions and he's dropped back to 12th. He was as high as 7th or 8th at one point in this race. Lost another position to SSR Bobbers, who had a really, really rough race last week. Pariah had finally gotten around SSR Shane after their little battle. Pariah doing a great job, and here comes a man on a mission right now, ESV Mute. He's trying to catch up. I believe he had an issue starting in this one as well, so he's trying to rebound from a kind of a tough spot in the field today. MSB Shadow back there in the 16th spot, another car that didn't load into the game, for those that are wondering. So apparently a couple of the drivers had an issue at the start of the race. TGM Remix, one of the people speaking on it. And unfortunately, guys, the thing about it is we don't do restarts once the lap is incomplete. So, you know, it's nothing we can do about that. MEA rules have stand as once the pace lap is dug in and we're good to go, we get that lap in, we do not restart for any reason. We try to stay consistent here at MEA, and obviously sometimes you get the bad end of a deal, someone gets a bad start. So for those drivers or whoever had an issue at the start, you know, you got to go with what you got, and unfortunately sometimes things are out of your control, as we are riding with Mute now closing in that gap, and he's looking like he's going to try to make a move on SSR Shane for the 14th spot. And he does have a run. Shane getting a little bit off pace right there, a little bit off balance. And we have been almost a quarter into this race so far, and we still have all the drivers out there running. AMSB Shadow, he's sticking on these guys too, and it looks like we have our first issue of the race, unless that's just the game, and we always hope it's just the game, as B Shadow almost clips the sand right there. And that would be NSR Swift. Looks like he has lagged out of this one, and unfortunately for him, as he's his second race at MEA and has seemed to have very good pace, able to qualify in the A lobby both weeks in a row. So unfortunate to see that happen, as we are over the quarter marker of this race, as Mute's still working on SSR Shane for the first spot. Let's check on the race map and see how the leaders are doing. You see right there THR Lightning, and that little dot right behind him, Jim Hydra, trying to regroup, rebound, and track down Lightning after the issue start that he had in this race. For those that missed, it was kind of a cluster in turn number 1, as Hydra made a mistake, and not sure if he got clipped or not, but had a little bit of a miscue at the start, and there goes Mute to the inside of Shane. Side by side as they go into the corner. We've noticed that this part of the racetrack, the outside car, has kind of had the advantage coming out of the corner, but not Shane, and Mute says not today as they go in. Still side by side, Mute trying to make the outside pass stick. Shane not giving a whole lot of room there. Mute's gonna have to, and Mute goes into the wall. So not sure how that played out, as Mute will end his race there, it looks like. So we are down to 21 drivers in the field. And what is your take on what just happened? I mean, that was pretty intense there, guys. It's not often that we get to ride on board with somebody in a moment like that happens, so it's always not great to see, but at least we got to see it from a point of view. And it just looked like Shane obviously was on the inside, didn't give a whole lot of room, and it just looks like Mute just clipped the outside or something, or maybe some sort of lag had gotten him there. I'm not sure. I would obviously have to relook at that, but that was a tough break for ESV Mute, as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty, as SSR Yami has fallen back to the 4th spot, and he's in battles now with ESV Karts, as Scottson has broken free, and Karts to the outside of Yami, and he gets the job done, and ESV Karts makes that pass stick, and now FRF Toys is on the rear bumper of Yami, so Yami's starting to lose a couple positions, but he's doing a fine job sticking with it. So obviously with Toys on him, he's now going to play defensively with Toys. Ooh! Gets a little bit of tap. Oh! But Toys gets to the rear bumper of Yami and almost spins each other out. So right now, we got a 4-car train here with Yami, Toys, Ballistic, and Breeze. And let's hop back there with Ballistic, as he's the 3rd car in line. Toys still working on SSR Yami for that 5th spot. And unfortunately for Toys, he had that rough start in the beginning of this race, so obviously he's trying to regroup and rebound from basically what happened with Hydra. What happened was Hydra made the mistake and they all got clustered up in one. Some of the guys got jumbled around. That's how Yami got up to the 2nd spot, and then obviously Hydra and the rest of the group had to get around and catch up. So some of these drivers had a really rough start. They're just trying to regroup from the incident from lap number 1. And oh, Toys clips the outside too much and falls into the grass, and he's in the sand pit. Let's hop on here and see how far back he's lost, as he's fallen back to 10th right now, as SSR Bobbert's the car behind him next, running in that 11th spot. So Toys having a little bit of a rough time here on this lap, but has been able to regroup, didn't lose too much, so he's going to have to regroup and try to find a way to get back to the front. As we move back up to ESV Breeze, who's following suit right now with RZ and Ballistic. Those two were battling earlier in this race, and Ballistic was able to make that outside move on Breeze while Karts was still hanging on as well. And obviously Karts has gone up a little bit, as he's now surpassed Yami quite a bit at this point. So basically the top 4 from last week are back in that same order, except for the THR Lightning is leading this one. And just so you guys know, I can see you down in the chat. Feel free to speak amongst yourselves, and if you have anybody you'd like me to check on throughout the race, by all means let me know, and we'll see how they're doing, as we still got 21 drivers in the field. after Mute ending his day short due to the issue between him and Shane. And then obviously we don't know what happened to NSR Swift earlier in the race. I believe he just lagged out more than likely, and obviously we'll figure that out after the race as well. But obviously we still got 21 drivers on the racetrack as we ride on board with Breeze here following Ballistic. Ballistic, the next driver to work on Yami. And Yami trying to get a good finish this week after the struggle of last week. A lot of drivers actually struggled last week at Magello. And obviously FRF Toys had that lag out early in the race, which cost him dearly. But with about 8 more weeks left, including today's race, anything can happen in the points. And obviously week 10 points really don't matter because the top 16 will qualify for the eligibility in the point standings to go after the prize money. And we're looking forward to seeing how this plays out. So a lot of these guys' position does matter as the weeks come down to it, but 1 week will not break you as long as you can regroup and get some good solid finishes through the remainder of the season. And we got to pull up the race map. Let's take a look and see how Hydra looks like he's been creeping up on Lightning as the laps are, winding down. And obviously Lightning with that great start without any issues after Hydra's mistake, or Super I should say, I do apologize, has been able to gap quite a bit, but looks like Super's been doing a fantastic job throughout this race to stay as close as he can and obviously gain ground. Meanwhile, we got LMP Yem back here, or up, back further, sorry. Forgot where I was on the track. He's back in the 10th spot after FRF Toys has gotten by him. So right now, he's the next car in battles with SSR Bobberts, and Bobberts, after 18th last week, is definitely trying to regroup and get a solid top 10 finish here today, but he's got some work to do as LMPM has shown this season that he's gotten a lot better with his pace. He's been able to stay out front in other series. We know that in the GT Championship Series this year, from last year to now, it was a huge improvement for him, and obviously we know he has the pace to do a great job week in and week out. So it's going to be a tough task for some of these guys, and with the type of field we have, it's going to make very interesting in the mid-points pack between that 16th and 20th position in the points throughout the series as Bobberts looks to the inside of Yem, and he will get the job done. But not just yet. Yem will get the undercut. And Bobberts just looks like he overshot turn 1 just a little bit, but now Yem goes a little wide. That opens the door to the inside for SSR Bobberts. They're side by side going into the turn. Bobberts throws it in. Yem holds the outside. They touch doors a little bit. Still touching doors. Coming out of the corner. Yem still hanging on to the outside. Bobberts still side by side. They are keeping this as clean as possible, and it looks like Yem giving some room there, almost knocked him off once we saw Shane and Mute do that earlier. Bobberts lays off just a little bit right there, and ESV Breeze is loving this because right now he's being able to catch up to this battle for 9th and 10th. And for Breeze, he's had an up and down race so far. He was up there inside the top 10, battling around 6th and 7th, has fallen as back as 12th, and now he's back in the mix with Bobberts and Yem. And if you're just tuning in, we are near the halfway point of week number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. The $1,000 prize pool on the line this season. And right now, THR Lightning is leading the field and has led every lap up to this point. But we do have a pit cycle coming very soon. So we're going to see when these drivers will begin to pit. You got to think they're going to pit around lap probably 2021 to make sure that they can make it to the end. Last week, we saw a lot of these drivers make the mistake of pitting a lap or two early, and we saw a lot of guys run out of fuel on the final turn of the final lap at Magello. And here goes Breeze now. He's working on Bobberts. He looks to the inside. Bobberts able to hold on to the inside. Breeze going to be a little patient. No one behind him, so all he has to worry about is being on the offensive end. And he looks to try to take the outside line. Was not able to get the run off on into the corner. But these three right now, they're duking it out, and there's a battle in front of them for 7th and 8th, looks like. That would be between Spectre and Toys, and SVR Spectre last week finished 5th after a very quiet race. Started a little further back today, and right now trying to find his way back up through the field. So it's good we got some battles all over the racetrack. Obviously, Supra is hunting down THR Lightning. He has closed the gap a little bit throughout this race, but not definitively enough for us to say, could he get him at the end? So we're going to keep an eye on all these different battles on the racetrack. And like I said, if you're in the chat, feel free to tell me or whoever you'd like to see. We will check up on them. I do like to be able to go through the field and show everybody at least once throughout the race. Obviously, some of the drivers' paints did not load in, ladies and gentlemen, due to Forza and my connection probably. Who knows? And Breeze and Bobberts enter pit road, so they're going to take their first pit stop of the race, and we're going to see how that pays out for them, as they look like they are the first drivers to enter the pit. Actually, one of a few. It looks like, let's see, Supra ended up going into the pits, and he just came out as well. So some of these drivers are in the pits right now. There's Supra right there. He's currently in 12th. Another driver went in. That was AMSB Shadow. So 4 drivers have pitted to start this race. And we got a battle still for 4th and 5th between SSR Yami and RZM Ballistic. Ballistic has done a fantastic job. He's got to be one of the biggest movers in the field today. Has fallen back, I believe, as far as probably 10th or 11th. A couple of these guys have seen the outside of the top 10 throughout this race at some point. And Ballistic still working on Yami right here. And Ballistic will go into pit road, as so does Karts. And I believe that is Scottson in front of him as well. And it looks like Lightning had made a pit stop as well. And look at the beautiful pit strategy by all these drivers running over each other, because that Forza logic. So Lightning will come out after his first and should be final pit stop. He is out of the gate, and he is driving, and Supra is right there coming behind him. So you see they're about to turn off of each other. And Supra was last week's winner at Mugello, the young talent hanging in there with all the top guys and showing that he's one of the best in the world. So the transitioning leader right now is SSR Yam, LMP Yam, or SSR Yam. The SSR Yami and LMP Yam up there 1 and 2 who have yet to make a pit stop. They're obviously going as far as they can. Let's hop on and see how Breeze is doing, as he's still tracking down with SSR Bobberts for the 10th spot. That battle is still on for position right now. And obviously it looks like they're catching up to SVR Spector. The question is did Yem get a good run by staying out without pitting? So we'll see how he comes out here very soon. I'm sure he's going to be making a soon-to-be pit stop, as SSR Yami has entered pit road as we speak, and LMP Yem also. So we'll hang on with this battle and see how these guys do, as we know that Yem was in the mix, and I did not mean to do that. I was trying to take off the map. Breeze in the 855 for DP, battling with Bobberts right now in the 8. So here's the moment of truth. Did Yem gain anything by staying out, or did he lose a little? Because these two have been pretty much by themselves since they made the pit stop. Doesn't look like they had anybody to go around. They have been catching up to RZM Ballistic. They have been catching up to SVR Spectre. There's Yem coming out of the pits as we speak. And Bobberts is going to try, but I don't think he's going to get there. Oh, they're side by side, and Bobberts to the inside. Yem on them cold tires. Breeze to the outside, looking to pass him as well. Breeze makes the move to the outside, and he'll take over the 10th place spot. Yem not done just yet. He's got up to speed. Tires warmed up just a tiny bit there, so can he hold on to his spot or battle for it back? Breeze still holding the outside line, side by side. And Breeze gets the job done, and he'll stick the rear of his car in front of Yem. And just like that, both Bobbers and Breeze got around Yem, and obviously Yem did everything he can after that pit stop to stay with him, but was not up to speed, and staying out lost him 2 spots. So you got to think for Yem, he's going to have to get, now he has a little bit fresher tires, but it shouldn't make much of a difference at this point in the race because nobody should have to pit once again. So we'll see how Yem rebounds from this, as in front of them, SVR Spectre, RZM Ballistic, and FRF Toys right there in a line of 3 cars as well, and SSR Yami as well. They are in a pack of 4 right now. So as we ride with Ballistic, we'll see how Toys handles Yami. Yami's still in front of Toys right there. Spectre and Ballistic didn't really gain anything. It looks like they might have a better grip car, or maybe I wasn't paying attention when they exited that corner, but it looks like they're starting to lose these 2 in front of them just a little bit. And Toys looks like he looks to the inside of Yami. Who's going to give way here, though? Toys looks like he's going to have to do it, and he does. He'll get in line. Not trying to overdo it. Still got quite a bit of racing to go. Obviously, Toys is trying to rebound from last week's race at Magello after a fantastic qualifying, and really what seemed to be, by some of the drivers, the guy to beat last week, as he was hunting down Hydra in the first sector of that race, and right now running in that 6th spot. He's definitely done a fantastic job, but he's trying to rebound after a little bit of a rough start earlier in this race. So FRF Toys looks to the inside of Yami now for the 5th spot. So Toy is still working on Yami. He gets to the inside again, not able to do it, but look at Ballistic. He gets the run to the outside, and he'll do a power move right on by Toys, and he's going to look to the outside of SSR Yami now. And there is Spectre right there with him. Bobberts as well is coming to the picture. Oh, but Toys gets spun around! FRF Toys with another issue. And he falls back to 12th now, and he's behind ESV Delete. Wow. Hopefully he has no damage on the car. And he doesn't, so it's very fortunate that it wasn't much worse than that, but now he's got a rebound from everything right there. And now Toy's out of the mix. Ballistic and Spector is going to work on SSR Yami, and Yami's done a very good job at holding his ground throughout this race, but has lost a couple positions as the race has progressed. Meanwhile, ESV Cards has surpassed ESV Yami for that 3rd spot. So Ballistic fending off Spectre right now. And with all this being said, Bobbers and Breeze has entered it. LMPM has lost a little ground on him, but not too much. And with the way these guys are battling, he should be in the mix within a lap or two. If this keeps up, as Yami has done a fantastic job of fending off pretty much anybody that's been behind him so far. Hasn't had the speed he's wanted throughout this race, but has been able to run the lines he's preferred. And right now, fending off Ballistic has been his new job, as he just got done dealing with Toys, and obviously Toys had a micro mistake. Sure if Toys was helped there at all. I don't know if anybody else saw this. And Spectre throws his car right underneath Ballistic and moves up to the 6th spot. So kind of forcing his way on through there, but was able to do it without creating any sort of accident. And Yami getting the backup away from these guys just a little bit. Spectre blocking to the inside. Ballistic giving a little love tap to Spectre, probably letting him know I don't appreciate that. These guys continue to go on. Meanwhile, Bobbers and Breeze has entered the picture, so we got a 5-car battle now. Let's check on the race map and see how the leaders are doing. Hydra is starting to get in there just a little bit, not much more, and obviously, I should say Supra is doing everything he can, but Lightning is doing a really good job of being consistent and not making any mistakes that would probably bring Supra into the mix. But here we go. 5 cars going at it right now. Bobbers and Breeze have shown up. LPM still is falling off. Not sure if he made a mistake on the last lap or two. And for some of the drivers, we're hearing that it's been the lobby's a little bit laggy for some of the drivers, so do apologize for that. Some things that we cannot control. Obviously, when the lobby was set up, Roberts was the leader of it, got kicked out, and Breeze took it over, so not sure if there was any issues with that. Last week, obviously, we didn't have any issues with the lobbies, and so we will look for ways to fix that for everybody going forward. Obviously, in a big event like this, we do not want to have that happen. So we do apologize ahead of time for anyone that had those issues today. But nonetheless, it's been great racing for a lot of these drivers, and you know, these packs of cars have been a lot of fun to watch. Ballistic clips the sand just a tiny bit there. LMPM seeing all that's going on, and he wants a piece of the pie, and obviously he's doing everything he can to catch up to these guys. For some of you that are new to watching this series, in week number 10, the top 10 drivers, I believe it's the top 10, get inverted in the field. I'd have to go look at the rule book, because that was something that was changed right before the season. Originally it was the whole field, and then they did an invert. So, you know, if you're top 10 in points, you're going to see a little bit of an inverted start in week 10. Obviously, the points don't matter at that point of the season, because the top 16 will advance to the A lobby and will start based off their points in that inverted field. And then everything's on the line for all those drivers. It'll be about a 2-hour race in week number 10. So a lot of time for drivers to get in a groove, make decisions, be strategic, and maybe we'll get to see some really cool action in week 10. But to get there, you got to race every week. You got to race at least 8 races out of the first 9 races to be eligible for prize money in week 10. And there is a couple of things that are in the works in MEA right now, which we will announce if they happen. It's actually to benefit the drivers in the race. As Ballistic looks to the outside, or I'm sorry, Spectre was looking to the outside of Ballistic. These guys are just duking it out, and Yami's probably loving this as we get on the back and ride with ESV Breeze, who just got by SSR Bobberts. So Breeze getting back into the top 10 after being outside of the top 10. Breeze trying to make that run on Spectre. Meanwhile, Ballistic slowly creeping back up on Yami with less than 10 to go. Breeze still doing some work. Meanwhile, Bobberts still on the tail end. I keep saying amoeba. LMP Yem has got up a little bit as he lost some ground. Breeze gives a little tap to the back of Spectre. Looked like he had the possibility to make a run, not able to. Ooh. And Breeze almost catches some sand. Oh boy, Breeze almost clipping the wall right there. Oh, how bad that would have been for him, and probably Bobberts, who would have been at the tail of that. So Breeze making it and cutting it real close right there, trying to stick right to Spectre. So as this battle continues, we go further back. FRF Toys is caught up to LMPM, who I'm not sure if he made another mistake, but Toys now works on LMPM, and he's going to try to get back into the top 10 after having a little bit of a rough race, and obviously a horrible result for him last week as he had to lag out early in the race. Post-race interviews coming up next with the top 5 guys. And to answer Europa's question in the comment section, no, it's not pointless because overall points will still matter by the end of the series. Right now, we weren't, well, I wasn't going to say it now. Obviously, we're going to announce, the MEA wanted to announce it later on. The top prize for being first overall in the point standings is $100 currently, and some people are possibly going to add to that. So if you are top overall in the point standings for the overall standings at the end of the season, there is a prize for being that person. So it is not worthless to do that. Extra money on the line for that person that does finish #1 overall in the points. But in week 10, points will not matter because all 16 drivers who did qualify for the eligibility of week 10 for prize pool money will then all be able to get the money depending on where they finish. And being that's a 2-hour race, if you're the best of the best, it should not be an issue for you. And obviously, things we'll see how it goes out, but there is something for the person that is overall. That was something that was added this past week, so it's not all worthless. But there goes Toys to the inside of Yam, and it looks like Yam tried to back off just a little bit as Toys powers on through to get back into the top 10. And Toys right now, he needs a good result, so he's going to want to hang on and not make any big mistakes. Meanwhile, we'll move up to 3rd and 4th. We haven't talked too much about these guys up in the top 4 today. ESV Karts leading ESV Scottson for 3rd, as Karts has shown some tremendous pace, especially last week where he came from behind and was able to creep up on Scottson. Obviously, Scottson having one of the toughest weeks we've ever seen here in MEA. Right now, running 3rd. And again, after this race, the registration for the series ends, so we will not see any newcomers after this week's race due to the 8 out of 9 regular season races to be eligible. Scottson working on one of the newest drivers in the series, or had entered the series, we should say. We haven't seen Karts for quite a long time. Karts has only ran one race in MEA about a year ago. So these two still battling it out as THR Lightning has distanced himself from Supra. Still no cars a lap down just yet, but they got a couple of people right there. Further back in the field, 15th and 16th, AMSB Shadow and LMP Amoeba, who we haven't talked about today. Amoeba, who was one of the last couple cars to get into the A lobby, still out there doing what he does. Huracan got by Remix for the 20th spot after some issues earlier in the race. And again, for anyone that wonders where some of these drivers' paints are, the game just didn't load them in. Nothing we can do about that, as you can tell on B Shadow's car. And SSR Shane back there in 17th watching on. Had an earlier incident with ESV Mute where he really didn't give Mute a lot of room to the outside, and unfortunately, while we were on board with Mute, he just pushed him off the track. Unfortunately, not much Mute could have done about what had happened, and the weird thing about it was it looked like it was also a lag that could create the way that he went off. So obviously there could be some lagging issues that some people have stated, and we'll have to see how we can adjust to that going into the weeks to come. But nothing we can do about it, as LMP Amoeba still working on AMSB Shadow for the 15th spot. To answer some of the questions that some of the people have had earlier in regards to lap 1 wrecks at MEA, MEA will not restart for any wrecks in the first lap of the race. It is on the initial start from the time that that lap is in, that only disconnected drivers will be eligible for a restart in that circumstances. And that has been a rule in MEA for a very long time for some newcomers that may not have understood that. So obviously there was a little bit of dysfunction at the beginning of the race. Obviously with Supra making a mistake, piling up some drivers in turn 1, trying to get back together. And then obviously it seemed like the rear of the field had some issues. But unfortunately those are things that as a driver you got to understand. You can't always control what happens in a race, and you just got to do the best you can to try to regroup. And obviously that's what drivers like AMS Huracan are having to deal with right now. TGM Remix and also FRF Toys and Hydra, who had that issue in turn 1 earlier. So obviously Hydra's, or Supra I should say, has rebounded quite well, and Toys has fallen back and has caught up, and it's been an up and down race for him. The Amoeba still working on AMSB Shadow. As we'll get on and see how they finish out later. But we got a battle between 7th, 8th, and 9th. And ESV Breeze is leading that charge right now. So after being behind Spectre, Breeze was able to pick up the spot for 7th. Last week's Driver of the Day Award winner, who started 17th and finished 6th at Magello. Trying to replicate his result at this point of the race. Meanwhile, Ballistic is still working on SSR Yami for the 5th spot. Yami defending very well. And we get on with Ballistic, and I'm right on board with him as he's still been working on Yami. And Yami's been defending all race long since lap number 1. After the mistake by Supra, he was able to move up to the 2nd spot. He defended Supra, he defended Scottson, he defended Cards, and then we've seen him defend Toys, and now obviously Spectre and Ballistic as we speak. So Yami has not had the easiest of days being in front. He's been basically defending all race long. But as a driver, sometimes that's what you enjoy most, is the battles, and obviously trying to fend off other people and catching up to people. Last week we watched Spectre run a race all by himself, so he didn't really have a lot to deal with. But today he's been all over the place battling with people, so obviously his race is a lot more action-packed today, as SSR Bobberts is right on him as we speak. Let's jump on with Bobbers briefly. We haven't been on him yet today. FRF Toys, though, possibly going to enter some battles with these guys, the way things are looking. Two laps to go after this lap, and this upcoming lap, I should say. FRF Toys, though, he is really coming into the mix right now. As you can see him in the rear view camera of SSR Bobberts, Toys is right there, and he could be able to pounce late in this race if Spectre and Bobberts continue to battle. And Spectre and Bobberts getting as outside as possible coming out of the corner. And Pariah IG is out of the race now. Just now seeing that. Not sure what happened to him. And that is confirmed. He had lagged out with only a few laps to go, and that is really unfortunate for Pariah. He did a fantastic job in this race, his first A-Lobby appearance this season. And obviously, he will continue to get his points just like anybody else has made in the race today in this lobby. This unfortunately did not end the way he won, so we got one lap to go next time by. And Bobbert's still working on Spectre. We will hop on with Lightning here in a moment. There goes Bobbert's looking to make a move, but it looks like he decided to play it safe. He looked to the inside briefly as Breeze has gotten himself away from these two after battling with them. Breeze is actually catching up to Ballistic. Meanwhile, Yami's been able to fend off Ballistic. So let's hop on with Lightning. We have one lap to go. He's put TGM Remix down a lap, so Remix, the first lap down car, still remaining on the racetrack. Obviously for Remix, a couple of lag outs, pushed him up a couple spots. He was the last car into A-Lobby after the A-Lobby expanded to 23 drivers due to the 46 driver field, or 46 driver qualifying this week. So, after a tough ending to week number 1, THR Lightning has led every but like a lap 2 of this race. Has not seen any problems. And with the points championship within 10, he will get within a couple of points, if not a little bit over points, of Supra after today's race. All he has to do is run consistently through these last few 2 turns. And coming around the final corner, THR Lightning takes week number 2 in the MEA Prototype Challenge here at Catalunya. Supra did everything he can, but was not able to finish, or not able to regroup in time to get to Lightning at the end. Two great drivers going at it. ESV Karts will fend off one more lap, one more turn against Scotson, who will take 4th. SSR Yami sitting there still in 5th, trying to remain on the track as in the top 5, and he will get the job done, finishing top 5 here today. That's a big bounce back for him. RZM Ballistic as well, 6th, 7th ESV Breeze, 8th SVR Spectre, 9th SSR Bobbers, 10th almost back into the field there was Toys, 11th Yam, 12th will be Delete, 13th, we didn't get to talk a whole lot about him today, another car that did not get loaded in. RD Gansen, 14th, looks like AMSB Shadow, and he will get the job done, fending off Amoeba on the last one. Wait a minute, Shane, oh my gosh, what's going on there? Okay, that was a mess up. We will be talking to those three after the race. And MEX Zaterip, he'll finish 17th in his first race of the Prototype Challenge. An extremely tough day for AMS Huracan. Was able to rebound into the top 20 after being back there in 23rd. He will come home in 18th, 19th TGM Remix after going a lap down. And the first time we've seen Emmanuel this year in his debut. He will come home 20th. Stay tuned for the top 5 post-race interviews coming up next, as THR Lightning will take the win in week number 4. And that's a wrap for today's race, as we will get the top 5 finishers in here in a moment. And the results are in. Well, we will first invite these guys before we sit on that screen. We'll get cards, we'll get Scotson, all the guys in the top 5 who ran today, Lightning as well. So just stay tuned as we get them in here. So I'm trying to find everybody in here, but obviously the game's being typical, or I'm just over missing one. All right, so we got a couple of drivers in here. I think I just need to get Supra and Scotson, so we'll be good to go. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, week 2 in the books once again. THR Lightning from start, no problems for him, picking up today's race win. Jim Supra, after bouncing back from a rough start, was able to finish 2nd. ESV Karts finishing 3rd, right in front of Scotson there at the end. So Karts been able to do a great job in keeping within reach, but was able to stay in front of him. And we got all the drivers in here, and if you guys make sure your audio's on. I know last week some of the guys said that it wasn't on,
Yeah.
so let's make sure we got it on. But we are going to start with 5th place finisher, and pretty much all race long defending for his life, SSR Yami. Yami, last week was the toughest race for you, I believe, in quite some time, you said. Finished outside the top 10, struggled quite a bit, but today you were able to battle pretty much throughout the entire race and was able to hold off there at the end against Ballistic for a top 5 finish. And is Yami in here? He is, but he's not in the mic. So we, Yami, you got your mic on.
Yummy.
Did you hear the question, or do you need me to repeat myself?
No, I did not hear that question.
All right, so basically what I said is a tough week for you last week, bounced back this week, was able to fend off the entire race, but you didn't see any open air by yourself. You were with people throughout the entire race defending, and was able to hold off Ballistic at the end.
Yeah, that's not very much. Yeah.
Well, take us through your race, and how hard was it for you to defend just each and every driver as they came to you?
Well, obviously, you can tell at the start I actually let Hydra. That's why I didn't want to hold him back. I kind of did try to hold Scottson back a little bit, but then I was like, we're gaining a little bit of distance of Carts and the rest of the guys. So I was like, I let him have the free pass, but then I started making mistakes, and it kind of went downhill from there.
And obviously, last week was not the result you wanted to see, one of your toughest races. How nice is it for you to bounce back and finish in the top 5?
I mean, I'm glad. I'm just glad to finish that. I probably shouldn't have. But, yeah.
Well, congratulations to Emmy on a tough result today, but was able to get the job done, and obviously a lot more weeks to come, so congratulations today.
Thank you.
And moving up, Scottson back at it once again. Almost nipped Lightning at the end last week's race, but obviously not able to get that. But today you battled with Karts throughout the entire race. Karts had to catch up to you, and you stuck with him at the end. What was so tough about getting around him with only a couple laps to go?
I think Ford's drafting system has something to do with it. But no, I was driving very well. There were sections of the race where I feel like we were matching Lightning and Supra. We were just having too many inconsistencies here and there though to really keep up. And by the time they were keeping up, the damage was already done. I mean, Lightning got a really good start into turn 1. I think everyone else lost about 6/10 into turn 1.
And obviously that turn 1 incident pretty much affected everybody at the start of the race. I know a couple of guys in the rear of the field were having some issues from that, but obviously a lot of you guys had to do a rebound. FRF Toys struggled immensely, but at least he was able to finish the race today. But obviously, Scottson, it's not the way you wanted to start your season, but there's still a handful of weeks left to go over that, and obviously turning things around is what you're going to probably look forward to doing. But overall, top 5 finish, not the worst result in the world, obviously, but going into next week, what are you going to be focusing on?
It'd be nice to be like further up battling with Lightning and Supra, obviously. There's just too many inconsistencies from McLaren, so I'm gonna need to work on.
Well, obviously we're going to be seeing you come back stronger and probably way better than the first couple of weeks. Obviously better than last week, but nonetheless, congratulations on top 5 results, Scottson, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, man. See you next week.
And Karts, back at it again. You did it last week. You charged to the front. You battled with Scottson, and here you are again doing the same thing, but was able to finish in front of him this time. What was the difference?
Yeah, this week I was able to do a little bit more practice, and I think I was a little more comfortable on this track because the curbs weren't horrible to go over if you messed up. But I just had good pace throughout the race, and I think my tune was pretty good for this track this week.
And obviously, Karts getting 2 really good solid results at the beginning of the season is what you wanted to see. Going forward, what do you think you could do to get up there with the likes of Supra and Lightning?
I mean, I'm hoping I can be a little closer than 10 seconds behind at the end for the next couple of races, but we'll see.
Congratulations finishing 3rd overall today. Obviously a great result for you, and battling with Scottson's obviously always a lot of fun, so congratulations, and as the season progresses we're looking forward to seeing how your results unfold.
Thank you.
And Supra, not the start you wanted to have, but obviously throughout the race you were able to gain a little, lose a little. What happened at the start of the race?
So Toys hit me, but I heard Yami hit him from behind, so it was just like a knock-on effect. It's nothing major. But yeah, I tried my best to break away. Yami let me by, thank God, and yeah, I just started pulling away from the pack, and me and Lightning were pretty much identical pace all race until I made some mistakes at the end. Yeah, just on my own part really, apart from first turn.
And obviously Supra winning last week was big for you, and obviously finishing 2nd this week. It's going to be very close to the point standings going forward. And obviously we just broke news throughout the race today because somebody asked, well, isn't it kind of pointless if there's a week 10, points don't matter, inverted field? And if no one knows, for you guys that want to know today, MEA earlier this week announced to the staff that a $100 prize would be for the overall points champion at the end of the season as well, so additional bonus to go after for you guys. And obviously you and Lightning are going to be very competitive. Obviously Karts is coming on too, Supra. I mean, knowing that Lightning's been the competition to go by, a couple of these guys behind you, obviously Scottson's having a rough start. What are you looking to see as a driver? What can you better off do going forward?
basically just improve my consistency. It's just not great towards the end of the race. First, I'd say three quarters of the race, are fine, but it's just, I don't know, I just start to fumble at the end. If Scotland starts to pick up his pace again, like Scotland has just fallen off a little bit lately, I don't know why, but if he picks up his pace again, it's going to be incredible with karts there as well. Like, karts are getting so much faster lately, so it's going to be a great battle, I think, towards the end of the season.
Well, obviously, Supra, you're a regular here at MEA. You got a couple of guys that don't normally show up in MEA, but obviously you're doing a fantastic job representing the regulars. But congratulations on another solid result, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season with you, so congratulations. But the man of the hour, THR Lightning, last week ran out of gas, almost lost second, and today, Lightning, it seemed to be pretty simple for you. Just take us through your race, and did you make any mistakes out there while you were out there alone?
Yeah, I was just making sure I took the pole and got a good first turn, which happened. And then I was just pretty much consistent throughout the whole race. I hardly made any mistakes. Practiced a little bit more for this race.
And obviously, after last week, you wanted to regroup and get the win. Obviously, losing to Hydra is no disappointing thing, but it's going to be a tough series for you guys, and obviously with the new prize bonus at the end of the season for the overall champion, I'm sure that will motivate you guys much more to doing well every week.
Yeah, for sure. That does motivate me a little bit more than top points as well.
Obviously, with Week 10, the way that it's designed, the points will no longer matter at that point with the way that's going to be. But obviously, Lightning, you and Super are going to be going at it. If Scottson can get back into the mix and fix up some things, it should be a really interesting fight amongst the three of you. And obviously, Karts and Toys right there as well. And Toys not getting the best run today, a few different mistakes. But for you, Lightning, I mean, is there anything that you could clean up as a driver going forward, or do you feel very comfortable where you're at right now in this championship?
I feel very comfortable right now. As long as I can start first or second and get a good first turn, I'm sure I can track top 3 of the race.
Well, nonetheless, Lightning, congratulations on your first MEA win, and we're looking forward to seeing you throughout the season as well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, here's the final results from today's race, with Lightning picking up the race win overall. Supra takes the second spot as a swap from last week's results. ESV Karts doing a little bit better than last week, finishing third. Scottson just drops 1 to 4th this week. And then Yami having a big rebound week for him. So congratulations to our top 5 and all the other competitors. As I'm SSR Mayhem, thank you for watching. We move on to week number 3, and we'll see you next week here at MEA. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a wonderful night.